So we're finally here. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Issue 100. The big milestone in the Power Rangers comic franchise, as we have finally reached 100 issues if you combine MMPR and the split run. And I gotta say, Ryan Parrott and his all-star team went all out in this issue. But I also gotta say, Ryan, thank you for everything you've done for the Power Ranger comics. You've told amazing stories with amazing characters, and I've loved reading your comics each month as they released. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do next with the Supermassive Universe and working on Rogue Sun. So, let's talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Issue 100 as we say goodbye to some old friends, but welcome in some new ones. So issue 100 opens up on KO35, where you see the red Omega helmet, now possessed by the Death Ranger, on the ground, and I gotta say, it looks frightening with that skull face on it. It looks demented and scary, and I love it. But you see that on the ground, and you see a fist slamming down, and you see Jason possessed by the Death Ranger, and Jason's eyes are just white as a ghost, pale, very pale, and you see the other Omega Rangers behind him, and their Death Ranger are fight as well. And on this first page, you see the dead rising from the ground along with Zane. Well, Zane's there too. And you have Andros narrating about who the Death Ranger is, what they're about, and their backstory, and how we led to this moment right now. So it's a quick recap if you're jumping into this issue for the very first time. And I gotta say, it's a nice speed run to get up to date. So, Andros is back at the command center telling the Rangers what happened, and they're kind of iffy about trusting him, but the Rangers have got to save their friends. And of course, I do like Tommy sort of saying to Andros, saying, hey, my friends trusted you, and because you betrayed them and did all this shit, they're in this situation because of you. So we don't want to see our friends die. We don't want to see the world get put in danger. So we're going to help you. We're going to save them because it's what we do. So I kind of like that scene. But we get this 7-page morph. Yes, 7 pages because Matt's there too. And the Rangers jump through the portal and head to KO35. And I love Matt's reaction because this is his first time going into space and visiting a different planet. So he's sort of like, my first planet. No, Kim congratulates him on visiting his first alien planet. And Matt's like, he's sighing, he's like, I know. And Kim's like, you can't tell anyone. He's like, I know. So I love that banter between the two characters. So while they're exploring the planet, they do come across the Death Rangerified Omega Rangers on the not the KO35 ship, on the Astro Megazord ship as they're towering above them. And I gotta say, Jason possessed by the Death Ranger with his new look, he is buff as shit. He's like roided out in this new form. But Tommy and the gang aren't going to surrender. They're not going to back down without a fight. So what we get is a battle for the fate of the universe between the zombified Omega Rangers and the Mighty Morphin team plus Andros. So what we get in the next couple of pages is a shift between the artwork where you have the Moises artwork and you have the Danielle Di Niculo artwork. And I gotta say, it's a really cool shift of art style between the two pages as the fights switch around between the two teams. So we have some interesting matchups. We've got Andros facing off against Zane, and we've got Tommy fighting Death Ranger Jason. And because the Death Ranger can sort of get inside Jason's head, you have the Death Ranger taunting Tommy and saying how Jason always resented Tommy. Jason should have been the one who got the white light. Jason should have been the true leader all along. So sort of like that scene in Turbo, you know, I've got all the power, all the muscles, that stuff. But it's a really cool fight scene between the two Rangers. And you can see that Tommy is barely able to hold his own against Death Ranger Jason. And things get even more crazier in the next couple of pages. You have the Death Ranger summoning the Ultra Omega Zord. And when you see the Ultra Omega Zord show up, you're like, shit, how is our team going to deal with this? And then it's another oh shit moment because we see the Gold Omega Ranger Zord, and the Gold Omega Ranger Zord forms the Ultra Gold Omega Zord. And what the Gold Ranger does, its formation on the Omega Zord, is wings, sort of like angel wings, and it's a really cool symbolism for that Zord, or for that Ranger with that Zord, because the Death Ranger is the Angel of Death, you could say. So why not turn that Zord formation into a big Sephiroth Zord? And when I saw that, I could just hear like Persona and Final Fantasy boss music playing in my head as it appeared on screen. But I gotta say, it's a really cool symbolism for that Zord with the big angel wings on the Ultra Omega Zord. So it's a really nice symbolism that Ryan and Danielle and that slipped in for that Zord. But when that thing showed up, you were like, ah, shit. But reinforcements soon do arrive in the form of Arkin, Kevor, and Journey. And I gotta say, bringing these characters into the fight was a really good matchup, because although their fights aren't expanded on too much in this issue, I do like the pairings that Ryan gives these characters in the issue, especially for Journey facing off against Trini, because having Trini face off against Journey, or Journey facing off against Trini, is an emotional gut punch. So I gotta say that I really like that, because you have Journey facing off against Trini, and Journey like breaks down and starts crying in the fight, because Journey was taught by Trini and Zack to never abandon people and give up hope. So as Journey says that, you see him breaking down and crying, and that's kind of a big emotional moment for the character, as Journey finally acknowledges Zack and Trini as their parents. So while this is all going on, you've got the Thunder Megazord and the Dragon Zord facing off against the Gold Ultra Omega Zord, and they're getting clapped by it, they're getting knocked about by it. Their efforts are pretty much futile, as this Zord is flying circles around them, literally. Meanwhile, on the ground, you've got Tommy still fighting off against Death Ranger Jason, and Tommy almost seems like he's going to surrender and give his body to the Death Ranger and become another host for him, because Tommy, with the power of the white light as the Death Ranger, would be probably super powerful in that form. But this is all a ruse, as they do the classic distract the bad guy, shoot at him, but it doesn't work. And the Death Ranger quickly cuts up the cannon that Billy brought back at the start of the issue to sort of nullify the effects, and unfortunately, it doesn't work. And it seems like all hope is lost. But Andros jumps on Jason, Death Ranger Jason, wraps his arm around their neck, sort of putting him in a chokehold, and morphs. That's right, he turns into the Red In-Space Ranger. And what this does is something very weird but very interesting, as it pulls the Death Ranger, Jason, and Andros into the Morphin Grid, as we sort of fly through Jason's mind and we see all these different story beats through the comic and being retold. And what we get is kind of like an Inception moment, where Jason's reliving all these events, or seeing all these events that we've seen in the comics, and Andros is trying to wake him up. So the first one we see is from Go-Go Power Rangers Issue 1, which is very fitting because that's the very first comic Ryan did in the mainline comics for Power Rangers. And then we have the moment in Shattered Grid where you see all the Rangers falling down, and the Death Ranger tries to interrupt it and grab Jason, and then you sort of see him falling through more moments in time and space. And we see these different stuff happening in Necessary Evil. We see Tommy becoming the White Light. We see when the original Omega Rangers with Jason and that, went to that planet that they went to in Go-Go, and that Queen was there. You have Jason fighting off against Lord Zed in that one issue. And it's something. And then the last thing we see is sort of Jason talking to his mum. But although the moment is nice and it's very peaceful for Jason, he realizes that this is all a fake, this is all a ruse, and he basically shatters reality with a kick. And we have this moment where the Death Ranger is talking to Jason saying, "I could have offered you many things, but you rejected." And Jason says, "No matter how pretty your illusions are, we have something better than that because we're Rangers. And we have this awesome page where you see Jason clenching his hand into a fist, and he punches the Omega Rangers through all the forms he's had, from MMPR Red to MMPR Red with the shield to Omega Ranger Jason. And he just knocks the shit out of the Death Ranger, breaking free, shattering the Morpher. So with the Gold Omega Ranger Morpher destroyed, everyone is turning back to normal, but out of somehow, some way, the Death Ranger possesses the Ultra Omega Zords somehow, and that's just so wacky, I love it. So with the Death Ranger possessing the Ultra Omega Zord, it keeps smacking around the Thunder Megazord and the Dragon Zord, and Adam says at this rate, we're only going to have one Zord between the two of us, and that gives Matt and Billy an idea. Another Zord fusion. And what do we get? We get the Dragon Thunder Zord, and I gotta say, it looks freaking amazing. You've got the Dragon Zord crest on the front, you've got a bunch of armor for the Thunder Megazord. It looks freaking sweet. It's got spikes on it. You can sort of see the dragon, the head of the Dragon Zord in the back, and the eyes are glowing. It looks freaking amazing. I love it. It's a really cool design. But with this brand new Zord, they're able to cut down the Omega Zord, or the Gold Omega Zord, destroying its wings, stopping the Zord from being possessed by the Death Ranger. So now the Death Ranger is dealt with, but will they return? That is the big question. So with the Death Ranger gone, the Death Ranger does give the warning saying, enjoy your brief victory, Rangers. You have no idea what's coming next, and I will always be watching. So that's the big ominous warning for the next baddie of the arc. So after that, we get a 1 week time skip, and things have gone back to normal. Well, normal for now. But we have our Ranger friends departing and going their separate ways, and we have a cool moment where Billy helped out Andros with the cryopod that Zane's in, and Billy says that it will sort of feed Zane morphin energy, so hopefully Zane will make a quick recovery. Hint hint, it's gonna happen soon. But we also get a sad moment where Journey is at the end of their journey, because we find out when Journey fights, it makes their age go up faster, they age rapidly, and Journey is now an old person. They're really old. They're like Yoda old. And Trini and Journey and Zach have this moment on the bed where they share their last moments with Journey, and it's a nice sweet moment because although they were fighting like before this big finale, they all come together as a family and learn to love each other. And I gotta say, that's a nice, wholesome moment for these characters. But not only that, with Journey passing away, we see that the people, or the Omega Rangers, have made a tombstone for Journey, just like we saw in the Omega Ranger one-shot. So, it's a sad, sweet moment, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really touching moment that these characters had. So after that, we then have Jason, Trini, and Zach standing on top of Safe Haven, and Jason reveals that he can no longer morph, and he says that when Andros saved him, it cut off his connection to the Morphin grid, but Billy and Eleven have been working on a way to fix it, but they don't know how long that will take, so Jason is now unable to morph, but Trini and Zach tell him to go home and be with his father. But Jason doesn't want to abandon his friends, and Trini and Zach, they thank Jason for carrying him since the very beginning, and they wouldn't be here without him, and they've learnt so much from him. So they tell Jason to go home, because someone else will carry the load for him. And Jason's like, I can't quit being a ranger, and Trini says, don't think of this as quitting, think of it as taking a break. And Zach replies with, and when we do need you again, we'll know when to find you. So, I gotta say, this is an excellent way of sort of writing Jason off as the Red Omega Ranger and getting rid of his Red Omega powers, and sort of setting up him coming back in Zeo and becoming the Gold Ranger, because as Zack says it in the issue, saying, hey, you're not, well, Zack and Trini say it in the issue, hey, you're taking a break from being a Ranger, and if we need you, we'll find you again. So that's teasing that Jason's journey as a Ranger isn't over, and no doubt about it, he'll become a Ranger again later down the line. So I really do like how Ryan wrapped that up, because that was my big main theory. Like, how are they going to wrap up the Omega Ranger stuff? Are they going to lose all of their powers, or will it just be one of them? But that being Jason, so we've still got the Omega Ranger powers out there, and these Rangers are still connected to the Morphin Grid. So after that, we have this montage as Jason plays a message from his mother that was saved on his phone. And we have this montage as Jason listens to the message, and you have Andros, morphed as the Red Ranger, standing over Zane frozen in the state. You have Jason hugging his friends and saying goodbye as he leaves. You then have Tommy and his gang morphing, and then below that you have the new Omega Rangers, where Trini is now the Red Omega Ranger, and taking her place is Kevor as the Yellow Ranger. So you have this really cool montage of the two teams morphing as you hear Jason playing the message from his mother. And I gotta say, it's a really nice, touching moment. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it's a really nice moment, I will say that. And then on the final page, you have both teams, including Matt, on this big one-page spread, and Jason saves the message, and you see him holding the bag, and it says "The End," and he's surrounded by several lights of the colours of his Ranger friends. And that brings an end to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Issue 100 and the Ryan Parrott run. So yeah, that was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Issue 100, and I don't know what to say about this issue. I loved it from start to finish. Everyone who worked on this issue did an amazing job. And I am getting emotional rereading the issue, and I did get emotional when I got to that last page, because I feel like this was like the best swan song Ryan could do for this book to see himself out, because I think he wrapped up everything nicely in a nice little bow, setting up for things later down the line, setting up things that are going to happen later in the Power Rangers franchise. Ryan did a really good job. And I can't wait to see what he's going to do next. I know that I say that a lot, but I honestly can't wait to see what he's going to do next. And I just loved his run of Power Rangers from Go-Go to now. I mean, Ryan's done an amazing job, and it's sad to see him go, but I'm sure that Melissa will do a great job as well. I have a lot of faith in her, but I don't know, it's just like saying goodbye to an old friend once you get to the end of this issue, but you're saying goodbye to an old friend, but you're welcoming in a new friend. And I think that's where I'm going to leave the review here. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Issue 100. An amazing issue. I loved it a lot. But with that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful day or night. And I will see you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.